Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio, and today I'm a happy bunny, because there's a new drop event in Pokemon Pocket, and by now, hopefully you guys know, I love a good drop event in Pokemon Pocket. Dare I say, they might be my favourite things about Pokemon Pocket. I love sitting down and figuring out how to make the best deck to destroy these events, and then sharing it with you guys. Because I like you guys, and that's what I do. So we're going to have a look at the promos that are available, and then we're going to have a look at which decks we can be using to take this event down. So let's start off having a look at the promos, and having a look at the big one here, which is Alolan Ninetales. We've got a fancy full art, alternate art, however you want to phrase it, of Alolan Ninetales. Worth pointing out, though, this is not a brand new mechanically unique card. This is not a card we've never seen before. This is an alternate art of an existing card. I don't think that's particularly a bad thing for what it's worth. It's just worth noting that, you know, it's not a new card. It's a reprint of an old card. As for what the card actually is, Stage 1, free energy, 60 and 20 to each of your opponent's bench. When it's up and rolling, obviously this is awesome. And being a water Pokemon, you've got ways to get it rolling. Like, for instance, Misty and Manaphy. When it comes to accelerating energy, water decks really are in a great position. So, that's cool. We like this. But it's one of those cards where it's fine. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. But it's not a card we're all going to be building around forever. Elsewhere, we got ourselves an Alolan Executor. This is not a brand new mechanically unique card. This is again an alternate art of an existing card. When I say they're alternate arts of existing cards, I don't necessarily say that as a bad thing. It's all good. And maybe you like this new artwork more. That's up to you, ladies and gentlemen. That's up to you. As for the card itself, it's free energy, 150, but flip a coin if tails it does nothing. I kind of like both artworks here. No strong opinion either way, but the card does seem to be a little bit expensive. And then we got a reprint of Crabrawler. Single energy, 20, 70 HP. It's fine as an evolving Pokemon. Obviously, we got Crabominable EX, a Pokemon we are going to be talking more about as we get further into this video. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, we got an alternate art of that one. Again, I don't really have any strong love one way or the other for either Crabrawler. They are both Crabrawler. It's not my favourite Pokemon. I'm going to let you decide which of these two you like the most. Now, a bizarre one here. We got two mechanically unique cards here. But one of them's Alolan Grimer, and it's technically a new card, alright? It is a new card, but it's just a bad version of the old card. Because we had an Alolan Grimer previously that was single energy, 10 damage plus poison. This is single energy, poison, without the 10 damage. Now there is actually one other difference. You might notice that this has a retreat cost of 2, whereas the other one had a retreat cost of 3. But it's rarely going to make a difference, because retreat cost of 1, you're not getting free retreat on turn 1 with X speed anyway. Okay, fine, you can get retreat with Leaf, but I still don't think most people are going to. And so I'm looking at this, I'm just like, you're going to evolve up out of it into a muck. So why? Like, I appreciate that it's technically a new card, but I don't really see why I would ever play this over the one that does the same thing with more damage, unless I'm really just, like, super keen on having access to Leaf to retreat more easily. Like, if you really want Leaf to retreat more easily, this is great, but that's literally the only reason. And then we got an actual brand new mechanically unique Toucannon coming in here. And I like Toucannon. Toucannon's awesome. Obviously, we're going full Gen 7 because we are in the midst of a Gen 7 set. And Toucannon's got 2 energy, Beak Blast. You do 80 damage and flip a coin if heads burned. Now that we've got Rare Candy and this is only a 2 energy attack, it's actually a lot better than it was previously. Still not saying it's necessarily good, but I am saying it's kind of cool. But what if we want to take down the event? Skarmory. This is one of those drop events where there's a pretty obvious answer as to the best Pokemon. Generally, it's Skarmory. Do remember we actually had a promo version of Skarmory previously, so you should all have a couple of Skarmory if you've been keeping up with the events. And it's single energy 20, but if there's a tool attached you do 50, for weakness you do 70, and when you get up to the top tier of the event, when you get up to the hardest one, the only basic Pokemon you're going to be up against are Alolan Vulpix, who you will very easily KO, and Crabrawler that you won't because it's actually a fighting Pokemon that's weak to Psychic, which is kind of annoying. You'll still do 50 damage, which is still good, but you're basically sitting there with a 50-50 chance of either a Pokemon that's incredibly easy for you to KO, or a Pokemon that you will be two-hitting, but then they evolve into Ninetales and Crabominable EX, both of which are weak to Metal, so make no mistake about it, yes, it's annoying that Crabrawler is a fighting type, but we want to be going full Skarmory here. 2 Skarmory, whatever you're playing, 2 Skarmory, and then you're going to need tools, of course, because Skarmory only works with tools. Now, I actually really think the best tool here is going to be Giant Cape. And the reason is really simple. Crabominable EX hits 40, but if it attacks the previous turn, it hits 80, and Skarmory has 80. So it's going to KO a fresh Skarmory in one hit, which is bad, and that little bit of extra survivability is going to be pretty gosh darn good. The other options are the same as we often see. Obviously, Poison Barb remains an awesome option, because if they attack you, they get poisoned, and then that's going to kind of go after them turn after turn. Rocky Helmet is, again, another incredibly good option here, because that is going to make sure that they are taking that damage every time they attack you. So they're my top 3 tools here. There are other tools you can play. They're all largely going to be irrelevant, I'm going to be honest with you. But, yeah. Those are the 3 tools. They're the ones that I'm going to be going for. And I think Skarmory here is a no-brainer. Even if you miss the tool, you'll still be doing 40 with weakness. But if you hit the tool, you're going to be doing 70. Potentially turn 1 going second. That is obviously absolutely huge. Now, in terms of what to pair it with, there are a few options here. I don't know if I love any of them, but my number one right now, the one that I'm most excited about, I really kind of like Bishop. Because firstly, you got Pawniard, and Pawniard is single energy 30, which is 50 with weakness, and actually, if you choose to play Giovanni, and I'm not sure there's room, because you're going to be playing a bunch of tools, but if you choose to play Giovanni, then you can actually get a turn 1 KO going second by just going Pawniard Energy Giovanni. And that is actually something to bear in mind. You can get some very early, easy, cheeky KOs. Can you afford to play 2 Giovanni with all the tools? You're going to have to cut some corners elsewhere to do so, but it is absolutely worth having a think about. But then when we get up a little bit higher, you got your Bishop. And Bishop's 2 energy 70. Now, there's a couple of things I really like about this. Firstly, it's only 1 evolution. Yay. Secondly, it's only 2 energy. Yay. Thirdly, as I've just said, I like the basic. Yay. It's got 90 HP rather than 80, so it won't get KO'd if it's fresh by a Crabominable that attacked the previous turn, which is quite nice. But also the numbers work out pretty well here. Because if you attack with Skarmory with a tool on with weakness, you're going to be hitting 70. And then if you attack with a Bishop, you're going to be hitting 90 with weakness, which is 160 in total. And would you go and have a look at the HP on Crabominable here? 160. So the numbers work out really, really well here to get a 2-hit KO. And if you do hit KO in Crabominable, you're going to win. The other thing, of course, here is those challenges that make you do it without using anything above a 3 diamond Pokemon. They're going to be met here because you're just using a couple of standard Pokemon. Bishop and Skarmory, I'm not saying it's the most exciting deck, but I do think it is the best option starting off. But there are some others. I mean, Skarmory Magnezone is actually just a deck in and of itself. It's just a deck in Pokemon Pocket. And there are things like, for instance, Primarina. Now, you won't find it in the highest tier of this challenge, but it is floating around there in the second tier, for instance. There are a bunch of things that are weak to lightning, so having this there would actually be kind of fun. And of course, it gets energy onto itself. I would make sure you kind of set this so you're only getting metal energy. I think that's pretty important, because the Magneton will just generate its own energy here. That's very cool. And then when you get up to Magnezone, you've got a big attacker. It's still only a 1-point attacker, which I think is pretty important. And then you can just sit there doing a whole bunch of damage, not having to waste your energy, all of that good stuff. And again, we're not using anything too fancy here. So that means that you can sit there being happy that you're not failing those challenges and make you stick to the diamond Pokemon. So no EXs, and obviously when you're doing that, don't play any full arts or anything. That would be silly. There are other fun things to have a play around with. A deck that I like very much indeed is Solgaleo. Now, the problem with Solgaleo is you are going to need to play Rare Candy, and there's just some inherent inconsistency there. But when you're hitting for 120 damage with 180 HP, I think it's brilliant. Try and still fit something like a Skarmory in there for the early game, but then bring your Solgaleo in to absolutely smash. It's hitting 140 after weakness, which isn't actually enough to KO Crabominable, which is a bit sad. But you got 180 HP and you can switch in and out. I think you'll be fine. You could also play around with Dialga here, because get 2 energy on a Dialga, hit for 30, 30, 30 while building up your second Dialga on the bench, and then just retreat to a fresh 150 HP Dialga that's hitting for 100. So having a Dialga deck here would also work beautifully. But I'm trying to stick away from EXs if I've got a good enough deck, so that I'm not failing the challenges that say no EXs. And also, there's just something about this. You got to put 2 energy on, and then you got to attack to get it going on the bench. I want to go hard and fast in these challenges, and I honestly think that your Skarmory Pawniard is probably your best option here, or maybe Skarmory Magnezone. I think Solgaleo decks are fun, and I'm blatantly going to play around with them. I think Dialga decks are fun. I may or may not play around with them, but I do think both of those are potentially overthinking it just a little bit. I'm not sure we necessarily need to. But it would be rude if I left you without any deck lists, so let's have a look at some deck lists. Now here's my favourite one, the one I've been using the most. This is Skarmory Bisharp. It's not a very fancy list, but it does the job quite nicely. Skarmory for a couple of hits, transition into Bisharp, hit for weakness, job's a good 'un. I will say, for the first couple, until you get up to Expert, there are quite a few water Pokemon knocking around, so maybe the Magnezone list is a little bit better. I've played a bunch of games here, 6 tools is enough. You should hit with the 6 tools, and all 3 of these tools, your Giant Cape, your Rocky Helmet, your Poison Barb, they all give you something extra here, either enough health to take a hit, or some extra damage. And we obviously got Cyrus in here because picking almost KO Pokemon off the bench is big, especially when your opponent is using Primarina and doing a bunch of healing. Here is the Magnezone list, and I think the Magnezone list, absolutely a strong argument for especially the first couple. When you get up to Expert, it's all metal weakness and you're much better. This honestly could just be the best option. I do like the Bisharp list, it's the one I'm playing the most, but I do concede that the Magnezone list here might be a bit better. We've had to cut Cyrus to make room for the Stage 2 line, and obviously we're not playing Rare Candy because we kind of need to go through Magneton here. So yeah, you're good. Honestly, this is a pretty good deck. This might well be the best deck to use, I'm telling you that now quite clearly. Here's Solgaleo, you have to muck about with a Stage 2. You're also going down to 4 tools, which I'm not loving. I like Rocky Helmet more than Poison Barb. You can swap them if you want or go 1-1. Because you need to play the 2-2-2 line and the Candy. This is a Solgaleo deck. So yes, you need to play 2 Cosmo, and yes, you need to play 2 Rare Candy. Of course, if you remake it, you do whatever you like, but that's my opinion on it. When you get Solgaleo up with 2 energy on, you basically win every time. And Dialga's a bit of a wild card. It's a very spicy list. We got a bunch of space here. So we're actually playing Adamant to reduce the damage we take. We're playing Potion here. We've got room for Sabrina and Cyrus. And Leaf and X-Speed are quite important. Because what you really want to do here is use the first Dialga to set up the second Dialga, and then you bring in a fresh Dialga with 150 HP hitting for 100, and that's where you really start doing most of your damage. I think any of these 4 decks can work quite nicely. I've given you the deck list, and now it's over to you guys. Have you found any other decks you like in this event? What do you think of the promos? Tell me all this and anything else you're thinking in the comment section. Good us! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. Oh, and get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely It's a Coaster, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is awesome. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.